Hello. I know I'm using the stream background, but it is going to be a video today. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and switch over to the main screen and I'll share what I've got for everybody. Right. So, some people may have heard of this. I know I have been talking about it around my Discord, and I am going to be showing it to you today, the art that we got. But let's go ahead and get started. As VTubers, perhaps even just people on Twitter, we've all seen GFX graphics bot accounts on the internet, relentlessly pursuing commissions, usually with the letters GFX in their name. I'm here to show you exactly what you get from those accounts and that they aren't necessarily always bots. Most people have their first experience with GFX accounts, graphics accounts, when they excitedly notice someone new following them. They go to check their lists, only to be disappointed. It's just a bot. Many people have also received DMs from accounts set up like graphics accounts, and it quickly becomes apparent they're running off some kind of script, or perhaps they aren't even human at all. Posit the following theory. I think that there are a substantial amount of real living people propping up the graphics bot epidemic. I can't prove it, but there may even be some level of organization or structure to what they do. In the same way as a scam call center that tells you, that you need to send money to pay Windows through gift cards. Along those lines, that kind of scam call center. In the same way that they're set up, and they have a few dozen people working all day to take calls, I believe that the graphics accounts are set up similarly. All the graphics accounts I've dealt with had very poor grammar when pushed off script, and some of them, the obvious bots, lacked the capability to go off script to begin with. Nowadays, though, they've gotten a lot sneakier. Seems like the techniques at scam call centers have been adapted at least partially here. Whether on a structural or an individual level, I can't really be sure. There's a whole new crop of graphics accounts, though, that are not only capable of conversing in DMs, but they will seek you out for commissions. The scam goes like this. You see someone innocently promote some rather cute looking art and bragging that they got it for real cheap. It was a steal. You look, the art is cute, the person promoting it seems legitimate, and they have tagged the artist. Maybe I'll follow them later, just in case, you say to yourself. And not a half second after clicking the follow button, not a half second, you get a DM. Hey, saw you followed my account, looking for a commission. This contact will be instant. Convinced they have to use bots for that step alone, that initial layer of interaction. Most people probably just say no and are dropped at that point, but if you say anything but no, yes, that includes not right now, the real human takes over. The negotiator, extremely high pressure sales. As somebody that used to work in sales, they are going for it. They will insist they will work with you for any price. They will work within any budget, but they'll also insist on you paying in multiple parts if you can't offer enough up front. In my case, this is where I faltered. The person on the other end was so clearly human. There's no way that a bot can sit here and beg me to commission them. For someone to scrape this hard for commissions, they must really need the money. I felt for them. So I just decided I would skip some lunch and I would eat the loss, even though I knew that I wasn't going to get anything very good out of it. They showed me examples of their style, which I can show to you. Let me go ahead and grab that. This is the example that they gave me. I will say, I believe it's quite evident that this is not... Sorry about the size there. My goodness, guess they just grabbed it off of Google. But this is one of the references that they showed me, which you can see has quite a lot of shading, a lot of gradients, a lot of hand-painted detail. Honestly, if I had received something to this level of quality, I really wouldn't have cared. It would have been worth 40 bucks for sure. However, that is not what I got. Don't worry, you will see what I got later. I'm gonna go ahead and set that to the correct reference image there. All right. So, showed me examples. They assured me that they could do what I asked for, and I sent the first half of the payment. In 2 weeks, I was sure I would never hear from them again, but I actually received a draft version of the art. Curiously, this draft version was the exact same as the final version, so it wasn't a draft, it was just a preview. And it was also only shown through a phone camera shot of a computer screen. To me, this seems to support the they're in a call center theory, but we'll get into that later. I had agreed in writing to pay them. I didn't want any trouble with PayPal, and I'd convinced myself they were some poor person who could probably eat for weeks off of the money. So I buckled down and I paid for the completion of the image, which basically just got it emailed to me as a .eps file. Something most people wouldn't even be able to open on their computer without downloading an art program like Photoshop or Illustrator. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and show everybody this image. Real quick, I do first want to show the references for what I asked for. So here is one of the standard ARIA references most people will probably be familiar with. And what I was actually asking for was something along the lines of this. I provided them with this image as an example. It's a very cute image. It's chibi style. It doesn't have many details in it. I thought if there was anything that somebody would be able to do, it would be like this. I asked for Arya to be eating, but instead of a burger, she's eating a brain because, of course, Arya is a zombie. So with these two references, what I ended up receiving, I will go ahead and pull it on up for you. This one is also an extremely large file, so I'm going to have to downsize it quite a bit. Now let me go ahead and pop this up. Oh god, I'm sorry, I didn't expect it to be that. Okay. So we are going to show you the entire thing, don't worry. This is basically it. It does go down a little bit further. As you can see, it seems like it cuts off exactly where the reference does as far as the body goes. It looks like they kind of just drew right on over it. Let me go ahead and bring this up around the frames so you can see it a little bit better. I don't want to misrepresent this in any way. So, this is what you get from a graphics account. The image itself it's an image. As something of an artist myself, I've taken numerous classes in using the type of program that was used to make this. This is referred to as vector art. In vector art, there can be resized to theoretically anything that you want, as big or as small as you want, and it will retain all of the details and all of the image fidelity that you put into it. As long as your computer at least has enough power to render it at a large enough size, because it can take a lot of RAM, I'll be honest. Now, each line and shape in a vector image is defined inside of the program that creates them by instructions that very much resemble math. I'm not a mathematician, but just as a brief example, any given line that you see, for example, let's say these little highlight lines here on the hair. I'm not sure if you can see the mouse over there, but the little highlight lines over the hair or any area that has a line, it would be told to start at certain coordinates on the page and head towards other coordinates with a precise curve, a curve that is defined by a mathematical equation. That's how vector art programs work and how they allow you to resize things. It allows the art program to draw and redraw that vector piece of work whatever size you want. It's used a lot for graphic design and logos, but these programs have also been used for making high-res anime wallpapers back when people were trying to upsize, like screenshots from an anime that they liked, but they wanted it to be prepared for their ultra widescreen monitor. A lot of people would use vector programs to trace over anime and do things along those lines. Now, I will admit, it's hard to tell if they traced directly off the reference image or if they traced off of my live 2D. It does look mostly like it's just the reference image. What I can say, screenshots of both were sent to them. It's not hard to tell, though, that flat out it is traced, and it's not even traced that well. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I don't want to bash art. I am convinced that an actual person made this, and I do believe that the person who made this is probably doing their best, working at a job, trying to get money for food, you know, like I originally posited. I just think that there's a little bit more nefarious structure around it. One thing that definitely is a giveaway for me, as far as it being a very quick and rushed trace job, is things like the sleeves behind the booba. Very, very strange. The hair that wraps over and around the booba, as well as the hair that would be disappearing behind her. But it seems like they gave up on that part. But like I said, I'm not going to bash the art. I believe that this was done by somebody who at least believed they were doing, you know, they believe they're doing decent work. They're trying. Somebody at some point is trying. At some point. There has to be. But I'm not going to go into detail. Like I said, I don't want to bash the art. I'm convinced a human struggling to keep themselves alive created it. I will say that just based on the overlap of shapes, particularly around the ears, the hair, it seems obvious that they're pumped out as fast as possible, and there's no real effort spent to understand how the figure in the image is put together, which is something that's rather important for art. The thin jacket sleeves and the arms, they kind of, here, let me bring it back just so you can notice the arms again. The arms themselves, the arms and hands holding the brain, they appear to be Frankenstein from somewhere else, just traced from somewhere else and pasted on. The brain has a lot of strange artifacting. I'm not sure if it's clip art or if they just use the vector trace function in a program to make some brain clip art. Not too important. My theory is that this is bigger than just one person, as I've been saying. Dealing with this, the structure that they have, I think it's a lot like scam call center offices. I think the people with skill in English at the office are sat down at some computers, chasing down and replying to anybody who replies to their bot, and in another room they've probably got a few dozen computers with some vector graphics program and a ton of people barely paid to trace stuff. It all fits. The mismatch of how different the art credited to the account is could simply come down to the fact that the person doing the trace job spent a little longer adjusting the line rendering settings to make them look smooth and pen-like instead of flat and Microsoft Paint-like, as in the result I received. Even the claim of cheap prices, while actually charging more than twice what some folks charge for hand-drawn art, fits. If they're an organization with a lot of people to support, the $40 they charged me for that is going to have to be split a ton of ways. I'm pretty well known for having one brain cell, and I could be completely wrong on all of this. Maybe it's just one person running the account, doing everything by themselves. Maybe I'm putting all this out there, but I couldn't be more wrong about it. Even if my theory is completely incorrect, these accounts will hunt you down for commissions. And they're still overcharging for art traced with zero care for how the end product cohesively looks. I wouldn't doubt that for the pieces I've seen that look better, they simply found other anime art to trace, in the case someone doesn't have sufficient references. The shading on all the art provided by that account as examples is also inconsistent at best. With some pieces, like the example that they showed me, actually having some level of shading, and other things having objects clearly pasted in from elsewhere. I've seen some art credited to this account that simply pastes a yellow emoji heart in rather than drawing one. I don't really think I'm wrong on the whole. I think that there is a data center rented out somewhere across the world, and in it there are a couple dozen people frantically scrolling across images, clicking with the pen tool, tracing with maybe one or two people there that actually care about doing good art, and the rest who are just there to be paid. I believe the best English speakers handle DM inflow, and they probably have their scheme set up to try and perpetually feed clients back to them. See, because once you've paid and you've received your file that, once again, average people's computers will not open without a specialized program, not only are they going to ask you for a tip, they're also going to ask you for a shout-out. The shout-out. That's the way I was roped in, because I just saw some other VTuber claim that they had got a commission from them, and they shouted out the artist. After all, when someone on your Twitter timeline promotes something that ends up being a scam, who do you hold responsible? The person who tweeted it, right? It keeps all of the hate load off of them. The entire scheme from the bottom up is so well devised, even down to pressuring people for shoutouts and tips in such a bold way that no solo artist has ever done to me before, that I simply can't believe any longer that it's just a poor person trying to make their way online. I took the loss. I am fine with being had this once, because it gave me knowledge I can now share with you. How can you avoid this? I'd say that when someone shouts out an artist, if the artist's account doesn't have plenty of examples and posts on it, just run away. This account that I was baited by was coded as the account of an artist named Alicia. On their actual page, there were not many examples, and the few that were there didn't match the ones stylistically shown to me in DM. Other things to look out for are wide variances in style among examples, particularly in the color and the lines. Between the examples that I saw, as I showed you earlier, one of them actually had some airbrushed coloring and decent line work, whereas mine just did not. For me personally, I had agreed to pay. I agreed to pay in writing, and that's why I was so scared just to dip out on them and go silent and not pay the last half. They're persistent, probably persistent enough to go after me through PayPal if I did not pay them, since I did agree in writing, and as a streamer, I really can't afford to lose access to PayPal, so I just did it. I just got done with it. Now, due to doxing rules, I can't tell you the entire name associated with the PayPal address, nor can I tell you the exact email used for their PayPal account, because they went to great lengths to avoid exposing that email. In fact, they would only send invoices. They would not allow for anybody to send just to their PayPal address. What I can tell you is that it is a verified non-USA account, and it sure as hell did not have the name Alicia anywhere on it. The first name on the account was Shike, and I've got no clue where exactly Alicia had me send the money, because like I said, it wasn't to her, which I kind of feels lends credence to the "this is a data center full of employees" theory. Now, if you like an art piece or follow an artist, they shouldn't be the ones chasing after you for a commission. At the very least, don't trust messages that are sent nearly instantly after following or liking, and don't trust anyone who tries to pressure you into buying or agreeing to pay for something when you aren't ready for it. Thanks to my community and the relatively low amount that this art cost, I was able to be fine with this, but there are other people for whom even a loss of $40 would be hard to weather. That can be, if depending on how you spend it, that can be a few weeks of food. So I do understand that not everybody wants to get scammed this way, not everybody can just brush it off. I'd also like to address my usage of the term scam. Technically, I received an image that is representative of what I asked for. It is Aria eating a brain, regardless of the fact that it is traced. So regardless of the quality, I technically wasn't scammed by the letter of the law, and PayPal would see it the same way. In PayPal's eyes, a commission was bought and a commission was paid for. They don't necessarily care about the quality or if it's traced, and building a case robust enough for PayPal to approve a refund would take multiple hours all on its own. All that to say, if you get got in this manner, you probably aren't getting your money back, especially once you receive an image, regardless of how bad the image is. And the reason why I'm putting this experience out there is for the knowledge of others, so you can finally answer the question in your head: what exactly would you get from one of those graphics accounts? This is basically what you're gonna get. You're gonna get some vector traced art, and it's really not worth it, all in all. Maybe if you had a logo or something you already designed and literally all you wanted was for it to be traced in a vector program, you might find some use out of such places. Or if you're like a magazine seeking a collage of tons of referenced and traced images that would technically be different enough to not count as infringing on someone else's IP. But for VTubers, people seeking art of their characters, it is not a good way to go. What I will also say, even if you are somebody who already has a sketch or a concept and you literally just want it vectorized, even if it's a logo or something, you can get people to do entirely custom logos for you for about $20 to $40 without having to worry about it being traced. So there are a lot of better options out there. The ways I've found to get good and cheap art, if you're particularly looking for cheap art, are to search for people offering YCH, your character here style commissions. I got 2 amazing your character here commissions for $15 a piece. Both of them cost me less than what this trace job cost, and I will show them to you. Here we have one of the your character here's, which was for a body pillow. And I will get the other one for you. The other one is super cute as well. Yeah, there we go. This one, a nice little aria in a box. Both of those, they cost me $15 a piece. They cost me $15 a piece. Both of them together cost less than the trace job. So, trust, you can get good art for cheap. You can. You don't have to go to these accounts. It's not worth it. An actual human person made those an actual human person that I could talk to, that I could give references to, and both of them together, like I said, cost less than a trace art. I do want to say thank you everyone for going on this journey with me. I hope you're able to avoid such pitfalls and money sinks in your time online, whether as a VTuber or otherwise. If you like hearing me talk about BS like this, you should definitely come to my streams. I stream almost every day on Twitch TV/Aria Starlight 000, and if you show up, it'll make you seem 6 inches taller to everyone you know. You can even choose which part gets taller. Oh, whoa. So I hope to see you there. Thank you, everybody. Bye.